The LPL has struck back against the LMS. We'll have to see how the ledgers shake out for the rest of this tournament. But now we get our chance to debut another region. And already I can see you've adjusted the wardrobe appropriately for it.
I got to represent. Got my Afreeca Freecs flair going here. I think this is going to be, this was the match I called out pre-tournament today as the one I'm most excited for, because Afreeca, big international debutante ball for them. And EDG, Afreeca are so crafty, and I think EDG are sort of a team that knows exactly what they want. Yeah. It's definitely going to be a really fun matchup.
And see, I would agree with you. But coming into this, we had a discussion about it. And I was like, you know, I think Afreeca might take it. But then the problem was, get the roster.
Starting with the problems
Get the starting lineup.
I'm
and then
I
see Haro, and I believe that I see that EDG is going to take us. So suddenly I believe that there's going to be a difference among us. There might be some scuffling, because I think EDG is looking good.
Let's keep it civil on the desk for now. Once we cut the camera away, then you guys can start scuffling as much as you need to. But let's actually get into the matchup itself. Raz, you were very excited about the mid lane. Tell me a little bit about what we're looking at here.
So just from the mid lane matchup, immediately there's always been questions about Scout as a player coming in. Last time he was in Rift Rivals, he was known as a coin flip player. He would have incredible leads in laning phase, but then there would always be that pivotal moment in a game that he loses it for you.
And then you have Kuro on this side, right? And he's the legend here. He was around, of course, with the Rocks Tigers in 2016. Been around the scene for so long. Played on Najin 4 years ago. His numbers this season in the LCK, you're looking at damage percentage, over 30% for a mid lane. A lot of mid laners have been playing Taric and other picks to really kind of have to diversify their portfolio. He's very strong at countering the meta and playing a lot of unique champions. Anivia, Swain, those are big picks for him. The Vel'Koz into Swain, another special for Kuro. He's had a fantastic I actually think he's the best performing mid laner in Korea right now.
Yeah, and I think that both of these players loving the Swain matchup. I think the Swain pick is going to be incredible between both of them. The two stats coming into that one that I was really like eye-popping was the solo kills, immediately 5 solo kills for Scout. His laning phase, even though a lot of the times you might not see the best numbers coming out of him, it's mostly because his role is to have the best, I would say, best gank setup for himself. Great interactions.
Good or bad gank setup, though, right? He's exploitable.
But then the team fights with his Swain is phenomenal, and so that's why the damage difference at the end of the game, you usually see him coming out on top.
And of course, a lot more goes into that than just the playstyles. We're going to be looking at the wacky drafting that Afreeca loves to bring, whereas EDG, a bit more stock standard.
At the end of the day, there's 11 victories for Aiming, who's in the AD carry role, AD role today. He's won one of those games on a bot lane marksman. All 10 other wins are either on the funnel mid strategy, 1 game, and 9 games of wins on Vladimir, Yasuo, Mordekaiser. This team excels in flex picks on the red side. They're on the red side this game.
And it's usually EDG that goes towards stock standard AD carries. That's iBoy's favor. So they've slowed the game down in EDG's perspective so he can get to the late game portion on the Lucian picks, Kai'Sa as well. So that's interesting on EDG's side. The only reason why I say Haro throws a spanner in the works is because he can play the early game picks like Talia that Clearlove can't. And even though Clearlove going towards the Trundle and Nocturne, I don't expect Nocturne to go in his hands, but also I just feel like this speeds the game up and puts the power into laning phase here.
We'll see how that works out for them, as this is the Afreeca Freecs, Keen, Spirit, Kuro. You just saw Aiming and Tucson. Of course, EDG on the other side, Ray, Haro, Scout, iBoy, and Mako.
And remember, EDG, going into this tournament, just had a phenomenal set versus Rogue Warriors, an undefeated team, got their first loss on, or at least, of course, Rogue Warriors got their first loss against them, and it was based around Haro, who is starting here today. I think that's the primary reason for that. And so I want to see what's their first pick priority, if they're going to be giving an early game jungler towards Haro, because that immediately is, I would say, an early development for the team, and it means a lot going up against the Afreeca Freecs.
And then we have Keen, who has played the most Aatrox and maybe the best Aatrox player in Korea. Suddenly, we've seen a data point of the shot popping off on Aatrox. I have to feel like he'll play it if it's open. I wonder if we're already going to start seeing blue side bans on Aatrox, on the new Aatrox with no hot fixes on 8.13.
It very well could be. So we joked a little bit about it earlier. Raz, you said originally you were looking towards Afreeca Freecs. Does that mean that your allegiances have shifted back towards your home region? Who are you taking in this matchup?
100%. I'd be trolling if I lied right on the desk at the beginning. I think that EDG will take it right from the get-go. Early game, Haro.
I got to say Afreeca. I think they're going to win this one easy.
Okay, we're going to find out. That said, we're going to now toss it over to our casters to get us into this game.
现在我觉得我们3个赛区的队伍差距其实不是特别大，因为之前 RNG 也夺冠也赢了 KZ 嘛，所以说我觉得就我们的冠军能赢他们的冠军，感觉我们排下来可能亚军也能赢他们的亚军的，就还是觉得 LPL 比他们强一点。
Thank you very much, Mako. And game number 3. Finally, I get some dang LCK in this dang tournament.
Oh, yeah.
Been waiting for this for a long time, Clement. So finally, Afreeca Freecs, second versus second as far as last split's results are concerned, against EDG, an interesting team.
I have to say, Papa Smithy is going to have to swallow his words after this set because he said it would be an easy game from Afreeca. I actually think stylistically, it's the worst one from Afreeca.
Don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay, let's debate this. Listen to me.
No, you're
okay?
the analyst, so I have to agree with you. So we're not going to debate. I'm just going to tell you my honest opinion.
All right.
That's happening in the back of my brain.
Afreeca, they're a great team. You know, they're the poster child for the bruisers, but they do lose the bot tower very often. They're a very slow team. They only have 30% of that first tower and 20% on that first dragon. So their bottom side of the map is typically very sluggish. However, if you let Mako and iBoy have their way on the map, he is the main shot caller of the team, that spells disaster against EDG. They are the main setup team. So it's really interesting because these teams do focus on very different play styles. Setup for EDG, picks for EDG, and for Afreeca, it is about those bruiser team fights, and in the later game, the split push for King.
But the thing is, Afreeca have fantastic support staff. Their coach, brilliant, and what he definitely knows is how EDG plays, because they play basically the same way every single damn time. iBoy's played 3 champions. So far, they've all been 80 carries, and Afreeca, do you know what they do? They prey on 80 carries. They kill them over and over again, and Freecs do not want to deal with any of the shenanigans of the Aatrox. Ray, if you've been playing that in scrims, you're not going to be playing it in this game. As aiming going to have that Vladimir banned away from him certainly has been fantastic in the LCK, as well as the understandable Nocturne ban.
Spirit on that champion, absolutely terrifying. Great with his macro as well. So EDG on the red side is pretty interesting. They usually save the last pick for Ray, so looking to counter out some of that power from King in the top lane.
Okay, Cannon going to be taken away as well. Afreeca Freecs not wanting to deal with that. Probably in the top lane, but who knows where it's going to be played. Could actually be played theoretically anywhere. Fireboy wanted to pick it up.
I don't think
Mako as well has played it in the past.
Yeah, definitely as a support as well. I don't think I've ever seen a team ban 3 champions away from EDG's top laner. Their top laner typically is statistically the worst top laner to play. Even Ray last split was down 500 gold.
That is sometimes a reason to target ban them. Make sure they're as uncomfortable as possible and allow Keen, our Korean national player for the Asia Games, to just tear him apart. And maybe he can do that, as Talia is going to be locked in for the Afreeca Freecs. Huge power pick, possibly going into that jungle role as Spirit's champion, but could also be in that mid lane or support. Could be anywhere. Zoe going to be the answer if it's mid lane, but that's definitely going mid lane for EDG in the hands of Scout.
Yeah, Scout's one of his best champions. He did pioneer the sudden impact build with the Zoe so far, and if he has that open to him, he will pick it. EDG so far, they've been relying on their mid and jungle a lot more than their bot lane to gain leads. Their bot lane's actually much slower this patch.
Well, we've got ourselves a Rakan, and it's going to be locked away for EDG. So the first time that we've seen him allowed to be played so far this tournament, that is a huge power pick, and it's going potentially in the hands of Mako, unless we're going to have some weird funnel stuff going on. But the Kai'Sa going to be picked up just to deny the funnel strategy for EDG.
Yeah, small correction. Of course, the Xayah being taken away right there. Afreeca, they've seen enough of the gold funneling in the LCK, and they definitely don't want to hand it over. We've seen less of it from EDG. Actually, EDG's gold funneling has been with the Kai'Sa pick instead, and Scout has been the one to take it away. But we don't really know what changes they've made on 8.13.
Well, the last lock-in is going to be the Trundle as far as our first round of picks are concerned. So the very standard Sejuani-Trundle matchup that we were seeing all through 8-12. Seems like the LPL had caught on to the 8-12 playstyle, which is always pick Trundle if someone picks Sejuani. So a little bit boring. We'll see whether things spice up when we have a look at what's going to be happening with our last couple of picks for both teams, because a lot of flexibility still in the drafting strategies.
I'm just waiting to see what Kuro picks out because he has a ton of counter picks up his sleeves. He does play the LeBlanc, and we have seen even weirder picks like the Vel'Koz as well.
Where's the Talia going then? If Kuro is going to be playing that,
yeah,
I have a feeling
that
it probably is going to be going into the mid lane because of the Sejuani. But you're right. I mean, you still got to ask that question because who knows? Toussaint could be playing anything. The dude has a decent champion pool, and often he's just allowed to play Shen. So that's okay. Currently is available as Mundo and Darius are banned, continuing down the road of top lane bans. EDG banning away the Darius is interesting because they could have actually picked that one up for Ray if they wanted to, but decided that they didn't want to. The Alistar going to be taken away makes me cry a single tear because Mako's Alistar has been something that I've always wanted to cast again, but not going to happen this time because he's going to be on the Rakan.
Usually we do see a counter pick for Ray just to give him a safe lane, not even to really win the lane per se. And this is pretty common from EDG in terms of a draft, leaving their bottom lane to last. They do like to funnel a lot of gold onto iBoy. He is their main damage dealer come into the late game.
A lot of options for him as well. That Kai'Sa that you were mentioning, definitely there. Yasuo, a potential pickup here. And that could be going into the bottom lane as well. We don't necessarily know. Ray could be playing it towards the top side. Certainly hasn't been in his wheelhouse before, but not going to happen. And that's going to be the Lucian. Oh man, that was so exciting for a second there. I thought EDG were going to do something different.
No, they're just going back to what they're comfortable on. We've seen in the previous week a Lucian 3v5 where iBoy skirted around the entire team fight, shooting people down with the culling. So a pick that he's definitely very comfortable on.
Speaking of comfort, this goes into the hands of Toussaint. Certainly would be comfortable, but that's the Blitzcrank. He's already played it once in the LCK, and he's going to be playing it again here at Rift Rivals. What do the Afreeca Freecs round out their composition with, though, is the question.
I do think they want another form of engage here. They're going all in into the pig type of champion play style. And Gragas would be a great fit.
How many junglers can we pick? What? About as many as possible, I think, is the answer. I think we've got a confirmed support.
Yeah.
Is the Blitzcrank. But where's everything else going? Talia's probably going in the mid lane. Is Kane playing the Graggy?
He could. Like,
the taking us to Graggy Island?
Could be decent, honestly. Did see a bit of a buff there to his drunken rage.
Yep.
Keeps him better in terms of the team fights.
But into Poppy, he's still bad.
Yep.
Because Steadfast presence is pretty silly. Of course, you can still throw a barrel at her, but we'll see whether it is going to be Kane on the top side. I have a feeling that's what it's going to be. And look at the amount of disruption the Afreeca Freecs have. They got a grab into a barrel, into a blade caller for the snare, into a boot back with the seismic shove, into a glacial prison. You could be stunned inside the enemy fountain, and you were outside the inhibitor turret to start with.
Yeah, I just love how much Afreeca is actually just tunneled in onto this composition, putting all of their eggs in the same basket. We said they needed something for catch in terms of the top lane to go with the Blitzcrank. They brought us a Gragas, the first Gragas top lane we've seen in such a long time.
Yeah, and the lovers are going to be split as well as Iron Rakan on opposite sides of the map. It's a little bit sad. It's exactly what I wanted when we saw EDG face off against KT, if that ever potentially happened with Def versus Mako. It's not going to happen there. It's going to be aiming versus Mako this time around. Coaches going to shake hands. It's an interesting one when it comes to the draft, especially on the side of the Afreeca Freecs. But we get finally, once again, the Poppy top, which has been a bit of an oceanic special. It's a Southern Hemisphere style of pick. But now, going to be seeing it again here as far as the LPL is concerned in the hands of EDG.
Yeah, just rounding out the composition, you definitely don't want to pick on the Poppy early. She was buffed a little bit. AD ratio's gone up, stronger in lane. Overall, we have seen a lot of airy builds with the Poppy so far. Yep. I think it's mainly just to deny the, just give a target that's kind of like a blank shot for Toussaint to grab onto.
Yep. I like it against champions like the Rakan, things like Aurelia as well, but works very well with the body slam of Gragas flying forward. So how Keen deals with it is the question mark, because Steadfast Presence has a decent cooldown on it. Still, it's all up in the air. Gragas versus Poppy as a top lane matchup hasn't been a thing for a long time.
No, we definitely haven't seen it, and I believe that Poppy should be able to hold her own in terms of the matchup. I will say, however, Afreeca's composition is absolutely terrifying if it gets rolling. Like, if you lose vision control even for a second, and this is what Afreeca's really good at, you're going to lose Baron, you're going to lose objectives and lose kills instantly.
Not to mention the fact that in the mid lane, they have a hell of a lot of roam potential. Speaking of the mid lane, we are onto Summoner's Rift for game number 3 of the day here at Asia Rift Rivals. Already you can see Kuro there in the mid lane, and this is what I was talking about. They've got a lot of shove, and shove and roam has always been what the Taliyah has wanted to do. Of course, in her current iteration, now that she's a little bit of a jungler, does like to, you know, does have a little bit more single target as far as that wave clear, but can still get things done against the Zoe. See what Kuro can do already. Papa Smithy toting Kuro as the best mid laner in Korea at the moment. Best performing mid laner, just to make sure I use the right vernacular.
Yeah, I really love how Kuro's picks really round out the composition. I think he is the heart and soul of Africa in terms of their strategies.
He got better when he left the Rocks Tigers.
That's amazing, actually.
Because remember, he was always touted as, you know, oh, if they had FLICKR in the Rocks Tigers, they'd be the best team. But now, I'd rather have Kuro than FLICKR.
Ooh, that's a big statement to make. Demon King is not going to be happy about that.
Well, I mean, he's just going to have to do a little bit better. They are the 7th place team at the moment, which is not what you want. Sorry, 8th place. 7th place? 7th place.
7th place, yeah.
Thankfully managed to get over the top of MVP. But that's a completely different thing that we're talking about. Let's get into this game as iBoy and Mako, a lot of control here in this lane to start things off.
And this bot lane should be in the favor of EDG. Lucian, a good champion into the Xayah, can dodge out on the E pullback quite easily here. And I think the 3v3 does favor EDG pre-6. Like, the Trundle with the press the attack is going to do much better, and that's where I think they should leverage most of their pressure.
Well, pre-6 is definitely the aim of that game, because I feel if anything lands on the side of Spirit's ultimate, that just sets up a pretty easy pull for Tucson. Grab someone underneath the turret.
Oh yeah, I've seen this kill combo being ran by Afreeca before. Around the Baron Pit, it's just so difficult to deal with. You go anywhere near, they pull you in, and then they CC lock you to death. It doesn't even matter if you have the better 5v5 at that point, you're just down a member.
Yeah, well, let's talk about Haru as well for a little bit of time. I need to be careful not to call him Haru.
Ooh, lands
Genji
the
jungler Kuro has to use the cleanse to get out of the way. Battlestar is going to get
Still
knocked
might
out
get
of the
him,
way.
though.
Overs. There's the
First
Ignite.
blood.
Taken down. Scout gets the solo kill in the mid lane.
And what was Papa talking about? Best performing mid laner of the LCK? Where are you guys at now?
We're Italian, and apparently it's different over here.
Oh man, Scout on the Zoe is absolute treat to watch. He didn't even land the Paddle Star.
Yeah, he just threw sparkles at him. You know what you can do with a bit of sparkles? You can create some magic, Clement. That's exactly what Scout did in the mid lane. Kuro didn't even use his flash. He was just dead.
I really do want to see the secondary runes from Scout. Like, Scout really takes very interesting runes. Oh!
The hook! Relentless Pursuit does get iBoy out of the way, and aiming takes so much damage on the bottom side.
That was great reaction time coming out from my boy. Dodging out as soon as possible and then turning around to put the press of the attack damage.
But that's normally impossible to do. Normally you are guaranteed the knock-up from the Blitzcrank before that happens. I mean, I've played the Lucian side of this matchup and spammed the hell out of my Relentless Pursuit and still got knocked up every single time. So maybe a little bit of slow fingers coming out of Tucson, which has been something that we haven't said a lot about him as a player.
EDG, they might be predictable, but they're really good at what they do. And you can see right now, EDG, they know they have the better 3v3 in the bot lane. They're already setting up for it.
Yeah, Haru isn't going to be able to get anything from this, though. Gleaming Quill comes out from Mako, but let's have a look at this 1v1 in the mid lane.
Picks up a barrier, goes all in off of that, lands the slow, takes the cleanse out, misses the Paddle Star, but the Ignite and all of the more Sparkles damage is enough to kill. He did have 2 uses of Summoners right there, so 2 rotations of the bubbles going down onto Kuro. A bit unfortunate, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it was very nicely done from Scout. Regardless, we'll see whether Kuro can recover. Recovering lanes has been something that he's done in the past. As far as losing lanes in the mid lane, yes, he hasn't been always the best performing mid laner, so recovering lanes has been something he's been very good at.
All right, so best recovery mid laner.
No. I mean,
I'm
he
just
shouldn't be getting solo killed by Scout, man. He just shouldn't. That's not a thing that should be happening.
You don't expect a barrier popping from a minion. Like, you just never expect that.
True. But I mean, once you get underneath that turret, flash away from him so he doesn't kill you.
Yeah, unfortunately, he did hold on to his flash for a bit too long. Got hit by a lot of the bubbles. Actually, 4 bubbles to be exact.
Yeah. Gotta be beware of those bubbles, man. Keen, he's farming out just nicely here on the top side. Glacial Shroud going to be the first option here. I hope that that's going to be in to a Frozen Fist, the Iceborne Gauntlet.
Huh, so somehow Spirit was spotted out. A bit of unfortunate positioning right there. I'm not sure how he was actually spotted out, but Ray definitely knows.
Yep. And he's going to head back towards top lane, understanding that there's a lot that he can deny from Spirit and Keen up there.
This is the part of the style that I'm talking about. EDG is so good at defending against aggressive top laners. Ray has been doing it the entire split. Sure, you might think of the LPL as being all blue collar, but we do have guys like the Shy, like Jinu, like Marin even, that do put a lot of pressure in the top lane. And to be honest, EDG has never really faltered to that. If you want to take EDG down, it's typically been from the bot lane, in fact.
Yeah. Well, Haro, he's looking
Another
to try
barrier.
and get them where they're strong. Thankfully, the minions get in the way of the sleepy trouble bubbled Talia.
That man has to be the luckiest Zoe player ever. He
Pulls an exhaust. Okay,
What?
fair enough.
We should do a summoner count for this. That's 2 barriers, an exhaust.
Well.
Oh, and a redemption. That's the best one to get, actually. Oh, man.
Well, Mako goes in for the knockup, gets it onto
Oh,
aiming, and
no,
speaking
the
of
redemption
redemption,
comes down
to the bottom lane. Tucson trying to get underneath the turret, threatening
just
the
not
rocket
fair.
grab. As Scout turns up, Spirit not going to get hit by the paddle star as the bubble lands.
The
Arctic
4v3
Assault
coming in.
creates some distance, but Afreeca are now very low. Kuro
Turning this
gets
around.
in from the side, finding Scout so much
Iboy
damage
going in.
from Afreeca as aiming, grabs the first kill, grabs his second
Oh, 3 for
kill.
1.
And Iboy now picks up one under the turret against Spirit, but can the Afreeca Freecs get more? 2 flashes are available, but they decide not to. Now 3-2 in kills, a disaster for EDG.
Great turnaround coming out from Kuro, cutting up the compositions, and Iboy wasn't in position to deal enough damage fast enough to the only low health member right there. It looked really bad starting on, but the dive behind the tower with Talia wall up probably was a step too far.
Yeah, and now Afreeca Freecs get themselves a nice back timing. Tucson even threatening Iboy. Doesn't find the rocket grab as somehow that skin's legal again. Dang it, Blitzcrank. I think that should be banned in solo queue if I had anything to say about it. As Ray clears out the minion wave on the top side.
Ooh, he's actually falling very far behind in terms of his CS score right here.
I mean, what is Gragas always pretty good at? Killing creep waves.
Yeah.
He's dang good at killing creep waves. So let's have a look at this one once again, see what went wrong for EDG.
It started out really unfair on EDG's side. Iboy, you know, just shoving the wave in. They wanted to go for the tower dive early, but Spirit reading the play already in position, misses the paddle star early. They don't really find the kill, and they don't back off soon enough. If you look at the flashes, Scout and Haro all have flashes right there, and Iboy's I think Iboy was too slow on the rotation. He was still trying to pick up the minion waves and trying to shove the entire thing in. If he was there on spot, I actually think that would have gone very differently. So miscommunication right there. You know, we're showing some good stats here about Iboy, but that was a little misplay there.
Yeah. And need to show some of the good Iboy stats after that being not exactly the greatest. Managed to pick up the only kill for EDG, but EDG need to rely on Iboy like they have been doing so many times in the past. He's played a lot of Kai'Sa, he's played a lot of Lucian. Can this actually work out for them?
And here comes the biggest test for EDG, because when they lose their bot lane, it becomes so hard for them to actually win games. Their shot caller is down in the bot lane, their best player is in the bot lane. But up top, we have Talia coming in.
Flash traded for ultimate, you'll always take that as Keen. As Kuro is certainly looking for some sort of gank. But he can just ride some rocks, get back to that mid lane just in time. Haro on top of the Infernal Drake at the moment. Should be able to grab this one as well, but just moving around. Chinese commentary getting extraordinarily excited about it. That's just going to be free. King's Tribute, in fact, getting him almost back up to full health.
Yep, good flash into the top lane, dive out the kill, and EDG are rewarded with the Infernal Drake despite not having vision control down there.
Ooh. This is a hard lane to find a hook in. Tucson really did make it difficult for himself with this pick.
Yep.
Already knew what was going on when he picked the Blitzcrank.
Well, I think the idea is, but let's watch Spirit here first.
Yep. Pretty easy Arctic Assault to get himself out of the way of that one as well, so no worries. Gonna miss both of his buttons is Scout, wondering where he got all of that skill from before because he's missed a few of his buttons. Since then, Kuro catching up in farm, in fact one ahead as these waves reset.
Ray, like always, giving up a lot of pressure in this top lane. The jungler is usually never close to Ray, so he does sacrifice his lane quite a bit.
Classic EDG top lane island.
Yep. You know Mouse, you know all of them.
Yeah,
no
no
one,
Mouse,
no
no
all.
Koro. Oh man, everyone suffered. Skeen's up here. He's got the Iceman Graggy skin. That hasn't been seen for years. I swear.
You got to round out your outfit.
That's true. That's
Got
true.
your Frozen Gauntlet.
Well, he's almost got it. That Sheen in the Glacial Shroud. As much CDR as possible is the aim of the game for the Gragas, especially from the top side. We'll see how it works out for him.
The big question about Afreeca's comp is when can they start moving away from their own lanes? And we can see in the mid lane that Scout has actually put a lot of pressure on Kuro. He's actually went for the Merc Treads first, and Talia in the previous patches was nerfed in terms of her AoE against minions. So we do see Scout actually still holding on to the push pressure quite well, and that's translating into these river objectives.
Yeah, kept pretty much item parity. So as far as strength of these two mid laners, pretty similar, as Haro successfully picks up the Rift Herald. That's a big deal here for EDG as well, being able to guarantee a bunch of damage on a turret.
Yeah, if they do get the tower lead, they can kind of stick it to Kuro and just shove him under tower consistently, make sure that the pick comp never gets going.
And this is what you were telling me about as well, is EDG play very well when they have that tempo advantage, when they pick up these early objectives, these early turrets. And having the Rift Herald certainly is an opportunity to do that. But currently, they're down about 1.5k gold. This could get them back in.
We do call EDG the mid-game tempo team. The way they like to play is push down
MTT?
one of the tower. What?
MTT?
MTT's great. I do it.
Mid-game tempo team, I like it.
Yeah. So they just try to push out the first tower, and then they set up around objectives, force you to walk through traps. They're rarely the one that's getting picked off. So if you give them that tempo advantage like they are about to get now with the Herald, it's very hard to come back from.
Well, Tucson grabs a good hook onto Mako, but he's going to jump forward. The Blitzcrank should go down relatively quickly as Spirit whiffs the ultimate. We've now got a wall for the disengages. Kuro
really well.
actually gets rid of it very quickly, and aiming just takes down iBoy. So much burst damage, unexpected by EDG.
Sorry there, iBoy was the one to fall down right there. He used the flash, but wasn't able to get down. Wasn't able to get out of range. Did look good at the start for EDG. The Glacial Prison not landing onto any of the targets. But the follow-up potential from that Gragas showing up there.
Yeah, absolutely stunning stuff. So great first teleport coming in from Keen. And they're grabbing things everywhere. You were talking about first turrets, half the health bar on the outer in the mid lane, as well as a lot of damage coming in as Poppy has to try and salvage that bottom lane. Storm Rays are coming in first for aiming as well from the Xayah. A lot of the time haven't seen that one, but now that it's been newly buffed on this patch, feeling like a better purchase.
Watch that fight again. iBoy goes in, stuck in a really bad position, does flash out of the hook, but unfortunately the explosive barrel nabbing him on the wall.
Burst damage.
Whew, that's unreal.
I know aiming got that kill, but that was all the Gragas. The fat man put his belly right on top of Lucian, and there was nothing he could do.
100%.
And he's got a big glove now as well.
Just look at the turret health on EDG's side. I think the script has been flipped at this point.
Yeah.
If Afreeca can find one more pick, they could probably take all three outers.
Well, Keen's going to come into mid lane, help clear out some minions, and the Afreeca Freecs have certainly set up shop in the enemy jungle as they're going to try and keep this blue Sentinel CC. They do so, and that's the hook over the wall, steal away the blue buff that has happened in all of my solo queue games whenever there's a Blitzcrank.
Unfortunate.
Yep.
I wanted some level 1 cheese from Tucson, but this is good enough.
I know. Bit sad. 2,000 gold is the lead here for the Afreeca Freecs, though. EDG certainly not out of this one yet, but Afreeca Freecs not out of the woods yet. So we've got the Rift Herald being used in the mid lane, and that first brick still hasn't been taken. It's going to be a big test, but the more members of EDG are hanging around, and Scout still threatening. He's got a Super Soaker as well that he can throw forward. There's the charge from Shelly. Shouldn't be able to take the turret here, as taking the eye does certainly deal with her, but half the health bar is certainly good. Oh, okay, Barrel misses.
Nice walk
Ray
back.
gets slowed, And speaking of slows, Keen has a whole bunch of them. Gets another body slam. Forces out the ultimate. That's exactly what he wants. Keeper's verdict actually just going to time out so that Ray can keep a bunch of that cooldown.
Yep.
Oh, looking for the grab. Finds it on the Mako. Interrupts the grand entrance as well.
Is he gonna
as
get
he
away?
gets himself out of the way. Doesn't get ignited as iBoy now trying to answer back. So much on cooldown now. As aiming pulls down the blade caller. Mako, he's even going to come back in. Scout helps pick up the kill for Haro, but Kuro makes his way down. Aiming's dead, and now Kuro has to flash. It's a disaster for Afreeca Freecs. Spirit wants the 1v4. Are you kidding me?
There's no way he gets that massive outplay from Mako, baiting the position from the bot lane of Afreeca to go forward, and Scout comes in with the kill. How did he survive that?
I have absolutely no idea, but Mako ate so many cooldowns, and EDG even up the kill score and grab first turret on the bottom side of the map.
Oh, wow. And the tempo goes to EDG as well. Mako is now free to roam on the map. We have to see that again. Did Tucson use Ignite? Oh, it was off cooldown. It was on cooldown, sorry. Yeah, he didn't have it right there. Only one tick away.
Timing from Mako as well. Oh. Absolutely stunning. Baited in everything. iBoy gets a full culling onto both. All too easy.
And how lucky was Scout to come in with the Hex, with the belt as well.
Whew. You're going to be talking about how lucky Scout is this whole game.
He's really lucky, man.
He does pick up some pretty sweet items.
At the right times as well.
Yeah.
Man.
Oh, iBoy, he's got himself a BF sword. I wonder what... Oh, okay, the hook's going to land. See you later, Mako. He's going to die that time. The seismic shove secures the deal. And maybe now Tucson just needs to hang around Kuro.
We do have to mention Afreeca is the best team to take away vision from the enemy team. They clear away 1.7 wards a minute. That's the highest I've ever seen for professional play. Big props to shot calling.
Oh, that's the long arm of the law coming in from Tucson, but Ray is very tanky. Not going to worry about that one. Steadfast presence not going to stop you going to the enemy team. Unfortunately for him, Skuro taking a lot of damage, and Ray once again spends some time with the Afreeca Freecs, but that's a full culling. Eaten by the Gragas, and Scout throws a lot more damage back. Afreeca Freecs trying to do what they can, but thankfully the portal jump's going to get Scout out of danger.
Yes, he can.
They are looking to try and go home, aiming full health bar, but not going to have a full turret as EDG slowly but surely taking down the structures.
Yeah, great turnaround there. They did get the first pick for Afreecas, but however, the follow-up hooks, I think, landed on the wrong targets. They got Ray twice in a row, and Scout was able to find an opening into the back line.
Well, that's going to be an easy Ocean Drake as well. Out of turret in the mid lane, out of turret on the bottom side. EDG probably looking top for their next target, but aiming, trying to shove that one forward as well. A lot of CS has been missed in the EDG lineup, so if you're an LCK fan, that is something that you could look at. But not too much of a worry here for iBoy, who's been farming up very nicely.
Afreeca, they are no strangers of falling behind in terms of the structures and of objectives, but they always go ahead in terms of the gold just because of how strong their lanes actually are.
And their vision advantages that they seem to always have.
Haro definitely smells this.
I think he has a feeling that something bad's going on, but those wards are going down outside of vision. Oh, Spirit! He's an LPL spy. You know, WE's not at this tournament, but they are in spirit. Oh God, that pun was awful. That was
I
really
loved it.
bad.
I loved it.
I'm sorry.
No
I
worries.
didn't mean it like that. I just forgot that that was his name.
Well, you probably affected Ray. Like, he couldn't see us after that.
He missed a category. Everyone's collectively triggered for different reasons. As Ray looks for it. Doesn't get too much there. Keen's going to easily pick up this wave, continue his CS advantage as this Gragas. Haven't seen it be super effective apart from that first engagement underneath the turret. After that, wasn't a lot they could do when that outer turret was taken. At least kept themselves alive.
Yep. I do want to see a lot of blue trinkets coming out from EDG because Afreeca's going to be setting up tons of death brushes. Every single place they go, they're going to try to make a pick out of it. They don't have the usual split push they have from Keen because he's on a Gragas, but they have to all in basically on just sitting at places.
Well, they have the vision to do that, like you were illustrating before. Trouble Bubble lands onto the Blitzcrank, but he'll be fine. Wanted out of vision, everything's okay. iBoy picking up Essence Reaver as item number 2. This is not what we see in the LCK. We see Black Cleaver. but this is much more aggressive. Ooh. And Weaver's Wall gonna fly in. Spirit's gonna find iBoy, and yeah, you don't build very much health, you're gonna go down, but I have a feeling he would have died anyway. That just wasn't great positioning from the AD carry of EDG.
This is just a welcoming event for EDG into LCK macro. A lot of times.
Welcome to warding.
Yeah.
That's what you should. You put these things called wards on the map, and then you don't get killed by 2 people when you're on the top side.
We just haven't seen EDG being the ones to get picked off repeatedly. Like, usually EDG is the one doing that in terms of the LPL, but we did mention that the warding statistics are kind of different. LCK still drops a bit more wards, clears a bit more wards as well.
Oh, bubble. Just short onto Spirit. As we've got, 4 control wards at the moment. Mako doing his very best to clear vision out. Did get rid of at least one of them, but there's still a lot available for Afreeca Freecs towards the top side. And at 21.5 minutes, you can understand exactly why. That Baron now an opportunity.
And it's just going to get progressively harder for EDG. They don't have a lot of members that can actually walk through these brushes. You talk about Mako, the support that usually plays something like the Shen or Alistar. He can't really do it either. I think Haro is not very far ahead in terms of his items. They're going to lose this part of the map unless they're with Ray. So I think it's a kind of a timer for Afreeca, a timer on EDG. They need to pick their moments to group up and be the ones to be assertive on the map, be the ones to take the first move and make the picks themselves.
Well, what we can see is Afreeca Freecs abandoned all of the vision that they managed to pick up, headed back to base and picked up a whole host of items. They've got the Morellonomicon and the Luden's Echo here for Kuro, who's just somehow managed to get to 3-1-1 after getting solo killed in the mid lane. That's a weird move. But still 2 items on Scout as well to even that up. And we've got Runon's Hurricane being picked up here from aiming, so wants to do a lot of AoE in these team fights that could get very messy. A lot of low ranges, a lot of melee. Means that he will be able to utilize that one quite well.
Crit Champions being a lot stronger on 8.13 does deserve a mention.
Yeah.
Infinity Edge is 100 gold cheaper, and of course the Storm Razor does give you 10% extra movement speed off of the crit as
Some
well.
extra stats as well, which is good for Storm Razor users. And speaking of Infinity Edge, that's where aiming wants to head next. 3 item spikes are what we're talking about. However, iBoy skipping the Black Cleaver means that, yes, you won't get to 40% CDR as quickly because you can build bits of that and get a little bit more option as far as that is concerned. However, with the Essence Reaver, the amount of damage that he'll have as far as a spike in power is huge with that item. He'll be dashing everywhere in the next fight if he picks that item up.
I think the itemization is mainly because Afreeca has so many lockdown CCs. You basically have to keep yourself in motion the entire time. A weird teleport coming out here from
no, it's iBoy. He wants more farm.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. He's going to make it to the mid lane and grab it. He has that Essence Reaver that we were talking about, as well as the Null Magic Mantle wants a QSS. You were talking about the CC. Yeah, you need a QSS as quickly as possible.
We have seen iBoy work wonders on the Lucian. Is one of his most picked champions, and he skirts around the battlefield incredibly well. And EDG, as a whole, they have such a good tradition with their AD carries. You talk about Deft, you talk about Name, so they definitely know how to peel for them. Yep. And it's just a pleasure to watch them in team fights, so I can't wait for that. We've got the Zeke's convergence down for him already, and a lot of peel options from the Poppy as well.
Well, the Afreeca Freecs, they've got a hell of a lot of control wards. Just recently, EDG went back to base. They had to restock. They've only got 5 on their support and jungle. So now Afreeca Freecs need to take control of that top side like they've always wanted to do. Infernal Drake just spawns, and they're going to decide to take that one first. By the looks of things, 4 members down here.
Afreeca do have priority on the map. EDG are going to have to walk through this.
Spirit doing a bit of corralling here. As Trouble Bubble flies a long way, and Scout lots of damage onto aiming. That is a huge deal as EDG sieging on this inner turret. iBoy's got to get there to get some decent damage in, and aiming just wanting to keep himself alive in the backline. Trouble Bubble doesn't land, and that is going to the wave cleared out. No one taking the Infernal Drake just yet.
Yeah, we can see EDG does not want to risk it either. Tucson still has his flash. It could go out at any moment. So EDG just back off. They did that mainly for the positioning on the map.
Well, they've got all the dragons so far. We're looking for a steal from Spirit. Throws down the ultimate, doesn't get the steal. Keeper's verdict just knocks the engage out of the fight, but it was after the ultimate went in, as Afreeca are doing great in this fight so far. Spirit grabs that kill when he makes his way back in, and Keen distracting members. But look at iBoy. So much work done with this essence. Flashing forward. Melee range over the Sejuani as Kuro has to go golden. He's gonna die as well, and EDG destroy the fight.
They come up huge. We thought it was a mistake at the start of the fight. The Poppy knocking away the Sejuani, but everyone was looking at Scout, trying to get his HP down. They forgot about iBoy in the back of the fight, facing 2 tanks with an Essence Reaver. Was able to kite away from the entirety of that, and Scout with the finishing play.
He was just skating around that fight, man. iBoy able to press so many buttons so incredibly quickly. Utilizing that one, of course, having the Light Slinger makes it so incredibly powerful, and that's Baron to EDG. Let's see what happened.
Yeah, we have to watch that again. It was a good start from King to separate everyone. A bit of a mistake because the exhaust was definitely wasted there, but iBoy throughout the entirety of the fight stays pretty much untouched. Only the explosive barrel hitting him, and Scout, he's the one that's pulling so much pressure down. iBoy dodges one skill shot, follows up with the Blade of the Rune King, flashes in instantly for it, and watch Scout here, all through the terrain! Lands a Sleeping Trouble Bubble and basically kills 2 carries by himself. You know, iBoy was flashy, but I have to say, I think Scout was the MVP of that fight. He just pulled all of the eyes, all of the attention out of Afreeca on himself.
Yeah, and he did that from the start, solo killing Kuro, and finally has another fight that looks just as good. EDG, they spot out the members of Afreeca. Another Trouble Bubble lands onto the Blitzcrank though, so they're not as worried about it. Top lane falls. But remember, Afreeca is still trying to power up. They still want 3 items onto aiming before he can do anything. That fight, like you were saying, all about Scout. That damage was huge.
5,000 damage compared to the almost 4,000 coming out from iBoy. EDG still have to be on their toes though. Afreeca, 1 pick, just like that, and it could have ended the siege.
Well, now they're not going to respect the hook as much now that it's on cooldown. Explosive cast used by Keen, but they're still just going to take down the turret. They ignore that. 2,000 gold is the lead. It's nothing as the Baron is still ticking down. 2 minutes to go. EDG want to get more, and they've opened up the map so much.
Yeah, I do think that Scout has also found his swagger. He is a person that's kind of emotional.
He's got a fancy hat, I'll give you that one.
Oh yeah, definitely. He always blind picks Aurelia or Zoe when they're left open. I think a lot of teams are going to reconsider that strategy after this game.
Well, I just feel like Zoe has been lapped up very, very early on, as Kuro picking up the Talia instead over the Zoe. Of course, Zoe, one of his most played champions as well. Would have liked to have seen him on the pick potentially instead. But Afreeca Freecs still well and truly in this game. It's not even a 2,000 gold lead just yet. But it's 3 dragons over to EDG, 8 kills to 7. They do have momentum behind them, which is scary for this team.
Did you see that Krug die? He didn't even need any bubbles. That was a straight EQ when he was gone. This is terrifying.
The Gromp killer.
Yeah.
Well, we got 2 BF swords for aiming, so he's almost towards that Infinity Edge. Needs another K. He's going to be doing a lot of work. That true damage going to be very helpful, especially against Ray and Haro. As Afreeca getting engaged on. That's the heroic charge combo with the pillar and the tanks. Just get destroyed. Aiming though, a lot of throughput damage, but has to use the Featherstorm relatively early. The double kill and the turret kill all going to Scout, who's basically hard carrying for EDG.
And this meta is all about combos.
God, he's still
Kuro
doing
goes down
more,
as well.
picks up the 3rd for the fight. This could actually be the end of the game if Afreeca Freecs don't keep losing members.
They don't have the minion wave, but there's 46 seconds right there. Nobody saw the combo coming in. This is why they picked Poppy. They had that underneath their palm the entire time, waiting for the correct moment to use it.
Well, EDG, they are going to push for this one. They've got the teleport coming in. There'll be 5 members underneath this turret as Mako
once
goes
again
for another engage, gets it easily onto Spirit.
The
last Nexus turret to be falling down. The Afreeca Freecs debut is going all wrong, and EDG will close it out 2-1 in the first 3 games for the LPL.
And where's your easy matchup, Papa? Where's your easy matchup? Afreeca come in. We've seen the weakness from them. They give up their first towers. They give up their first dragons. You cannot do that against EDG. Scout, another Korean mid laner, putting the foot down, showing who's boss in this Rift Rivals.
Remember, FLICKR has been schooling Kuro for a long time.
Hey, you just said
and
he was
Scout
the best
sat
performer.
behind him
That is
for
true.
a lot of that time. All that schooling was going on. Seems that Scout may have learnt a thing or two from there, but man, that is one of the best performances I have seen from the EDG mid laner for a very long time. Yes, Zoe's very powerful, but man, Scout had a day out today in his first match.
Oh yeah, picking up the solo kill, always having the right summoners, the right toolboxes from that random drop. You know, able to pick off the 4v2 in the bot lane. It didn't go well the first time, just try again, and if you have the Proto Bell, it's a lot easier.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And Afreeca Freecs may be a little bit surprised themselves. Shaking hands. Didn't necessarily come naturally. They were like, what just happened? Guys, we just lost the game. The game exploded. Why did we lose? I think a lot of it comes down to the draft. I think a lot of it was greedy. They picked the Gragas into the top lane. They've got the Blitzcrank. A lot of it a little bit fancy when it comes to the draft. And look, to be honest, it didn't work.
Yep. EDG got pretty much everything they wanted out of the draft. They got their ADC into a safe lane, in fact, a winning lane.
Yep.
Very rare in this meta. Also, Scout getting one of his best champions unchecked, too.
And Mako getting Rakan, I just think is silly.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone should get Rakan, but if you're going to give it to someone, don't give it to Mako. That's ridiculous. However, Afreeca Freecs gave it to EDG, and they just threw it right back.
Oh,
Have a look at the damage. Haru, not doing a heck of a lot, but damn, Scout did a bunch of work. 25.5k versus the 10k that Kuro picked up.
If you look at the top 3 members, they don't out-damage Scout alone. Like, that's how much damage he was doing. It's pretty ridiculous. I felt like Afreeca had their moments. They had their chances to set up picks and show LCK macro, something that LPL teams don't face often, but it just took one team fight, one bad decision. iBoy went off, Scout went off, and it was over.
Yeah, and Kane a little bit out of position on the Gragas as well, could no longer frontline, and it meant that the threaded volleys weren't landing. It meant that aiming couldn't get himself into a position to get that carry going. It was just a bit of a disaster, honestly, for the Afreeca Freecs.
Yeah, pretty much. LPL going out strong, 2 for 1 in the first 3 games.
Yep, and let's throw it back to the desk where I think my friend Papa Smithy will have to explain himself.
Well, Papa, yeah, what do we got here?
I asked for humble pie. The Chinese restaurant person did not understand what I was talking about. So sadly, the humble pie will have to be, implied. But this was surprising, honestly. Afreeca, the draft already was a really interesting one. A lot of new stuff. Blind pick Gragas top, blind pick Talia. I was originally under the impression it was a red side game for Afreeca. I'm not saying that's an excuse, but I was like, okay, they're going to have the flex picks. Instead, they were blind picking a lot of stuff in this draft. And I think EDG got the sort of comfortable lanes that when I was thinking of the game pre-draft, of course, the danger of predicting pre-draft, I didn't think they would get lanes where it was marksman versus marksman and other very standard things. And credit to the side of EDG, they certainly popped off.
And I think that I would ultimately say that Afreeca Freecs taking the solo kill away from it, had a very a strong early game.
Sure.
They were countering a lot of the dives that were happening in the bottom lane from EDG, and it felt clean because I thought that Kuro, from that point, was able to constantly impact the bottom lane consistently, just from his roaming, of course getting tier 2 boots, not just for the matchup, but just to be able to roam to the bottom side incredibly quickly. So he was able to catch out Scout frequently, and I think that was a positive for Afreeca Freecs at the very least.
But the issue is, as the game develops, clearly it's a salvaging mission for him rather than necessarily a carrying mission. Scout was the big star of this game, getting a solo kill that shouldn't have happened. This really nice execution by Scout. This is the sort of Scout game we very rarely see on the international stage. The ones that I think most people see are the notable misplays, like in the group stages of Worlds last year that were very noticeable. Here, everything he touched was turning to gold. Everything was working out, and it ended up being a huge performance for him.
And this is a sort of why we call him the double-edged blade of the LPL. Of course, this does work out for EDG in their second dive bottom. You already mentioned they tried once, and it did not work out for them. I believe we've actually got that that replay for you to show that fight and how it worked. And it all starts off with Mako turning around after getting caught out of position.
There were just so many big moments in this game. There's so many explosive team fights. This is where they try to engage bottom side.
Yeah.
And Tusen's able to bait them. And this is the one where the wall does come up big. The only pick in this replay is onto iBoy.
Yeah.
And these are the sort of use of the Weaver's wall that sometimes we see out of the jungle, sometimes we see out of even support and even the carry role, aiming himself, having played the Talia. These are the sort of things I was expecting, but you don't factor in solo kills in the mid lane. And also I love the synergy. We finally saw it fully understood, but the synergy of the Trundle Poppy, because that was doing some good stuff too.
Yeah, just the fact that you were able to, from the Trundle point of view, how the mid lane gank was supposed to work was just through the Trundle pillar. But here's the play that you were initially talking about. The pixel perfect hook and the pixel perfect flash as a response, so he doesn't get the kill. So a lot of it just is based off of the mechanics, because EDG come right back in and they search for a dive.
A battle of the mechanics wasn't something we necessarily expected outside of iBoy and his noted mechanics, but I think he was mostly a non-factor in games like this. This is Kuro trying to absolutely just bail out a bad situation. The bailout worked the first time, the second time, and just like economics, can't bail out forever. Unfortunately, that's where things really took off for EDG.
Yeah, and just at the end of it, you didn't get to see it at the team fight.
Censored.
It didn't mean anything.
Censored.
Yeah, exactly. Just because it felt like Scout was in his mode. Everything went well for him. We were able to see the flick coming out of Talia and would respond with his own ulti, so he was never getting damaged in those scenarios. So Scout had a phenomenal game. There are a million ways to show it in that sense.
Yeah.
Zoe is a phenomenal pick from. The Swain, if we ever see it, that's something that we can talk about a lot going into the tournament.
Yeah, so we do have that last team fight to show you. Your eyes might be drawn to iBoy starting to pop off, but really you should keep an eye on how Scout positions and the damage that he's able to do with these
And
paddle
even just the simple point of the Keeper's Verdict meaning there's no front line. Spirit's out of this fight early. The Gragas tries to walk in, and it looked good from the start, but then iBoy is isolated, and that's where your eyes this time naturally should go.
Yeah, isolated because Gragas tried to go for a body slam onto Zoe, and so he's completely out of the fight. He's supposed to be the second front line.
But you think about what could have happened, right? Spirit's over here, Gragas over here, but Spirit's gone. And suddenly the mental reset you need to quickly team fight call when someone's been knocked out of a team fight takes time to get in. That was where the issues were shown. So it was just great adaptation by EDG, and Afreeca went on the first call. First call needed to change, and it did.
Yes.
And this is, I think, something that you mentioned a little bit earlier, a bit unexpected for EDG, that they did just try to take it in a mechanics battle against Afreeca in this style. Are we going to see them just try to rely on this strategy for their next game as well?
I think, honestly, a lot of this game to me is Afreeca changing things and trying things. First game on the international stage, I thought the draft was optimistic, and it didn't work out. It was well punished by Scout in particular, but they'll be better for the run. At the end of the day, Afreeca, this is the debutante ball. This is a lot of these players either new to the international stage, like Aiming and Keen, or players that have been out of the spotlight for a while, like Spirit and Kuro. There's a lot to work with. This tournament they'll certainly be better for the run, is the sports analogy. And I think it'll be true for this game. It was a really fun one to watch. Oh, yeah. This was the best game of the tournament easily for me so far.
And I think EDG have a lot to learn from this one as well. Even though it came out as a victory, Afreeca Freecs are doing quite well, and it was mostly off of the dives that EDG were threatening in the bottom lane. So I think they didn't expect Sejuani Spirit to be there reading the play frequently, and they meandered a little bit. They were there for quite some time and didn't expect Kuro to be coming in with a wall. So there are moments where there was uncertainty in the calls, and they can clean that up.
That decisiveness, definitely still definitely seen from EDG, like we said. The Trundle Pillar and the Poppy Slam at the Tier 2 just opened up the game completely. If that's how close these games are coming down to, where we're seeing the Poppy Trundle of all things.
It's really funny because going into pick and ban, I was like, Trundle, Poppy, disengage picks. You don't really get too much unless if you got Zoe or the Rakan going in for the engage, but they literally created their own play, and it's just like, all right, you know what? I respect that.
Permanent terrain plus Poppy. We had FLICKR on the mid lane Poppy recently in the LCK, so starting to unravel that with all these different terrains. Even the Ornn Q can be something to set up the Poppy charge. So I think the Poppy games will continue. They'll keep rolling along.
Well, that being said, we're now just about ready to take a quick break. We're halfway through day 1. Will the excitement continue, or will it just play out as we expect? We're going to go and take a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.